Welcome to the 8th Annual Atlantic Council Global Citizen Awards. As Executive Vice Chair of the Atlantic Council, I'm stepping in tonight for our Chairman, Governor Jon Huntsman. The Governor could not be with us tonight because, as many of you know, his confirmation for the new post of U.S. Ambassador to Russia took place this morning. I thank you all for being here tonight at this new venue, the Intrepid. What a symbol for all the things for which we stand. This, in fact, and this is a true fact, is the largest turnout ever for a Global Citizen Awards. We are enormously proud of our honorees this evening. We honor Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. We honor him for his visionary leadership, his commitment to sustainable and inclusive growth, his respect for freedom and diversity, and his promotion of open trade and open borders. Her Majesty, Queen Rania of Jordan, who received the Council's Global Citizen Award in 2013, will introduce the Prime Minister. We are also honoring the President of the Republic of Korea, Moon Jae-in. We honor him for his principled leadership demonstrated throughout a career of public service, for his success in building coalitions in the face of obstacles, and for his efforts to diffuse regional tensions using tactics of diplomatic, economic, and cultural engagement. My friend, Christine Lagarde, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, will introduce President Moon. It is an Atlantic Council tradition to always honor a performing artist. The arts define civilization. They speak to us in a universal language. Tonight, we honor the great pianist and philanthropist Long Long for bringing classical music to a multi-generational global audience, and for his contribution to the crucially important effort to bring musical education to children across the globe. Our inaugural Global Citizen Award recipient, the World Economic Forum founder and its executive chairman, Professor Klaus Schwab, will introduce Long Long. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce the President and CEO of the Atlantic Council, Fred Kempe. Fred is one of the most gifted foreign policy entrepreneurs on the scene today. His leadership of the Council over the past 10 years has been a driving force behind the Council's incredible success. It continues to be both a privilege and a real hoot to work alongside of him. Fred, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Adrienne. I won't ask you to define hoot. Adrienne is an incredible lawyer, banker, and philanthropist extraordinaire. Don't worry, Prime Minister Trudeau, that's the only French word I'll try to use. Adrienne, thank you for your leadership as our Executive Vice Chair and founder of two of our centers, the Adrienne Arsht Latin America Center, and new this year, the Adrienne Arsht Center for Resilience, and I'll come back briefly to that later. So what an illustrious crowd. What a magnificent venue. You are 572 individuals from more than 40 countries, heads of state and government, leaders of international organizations, ambassadors, more than 76 chief executives and presidents of companies, media leaders, civil society leaders, even the great author and writer Gay Talese, and even the reigning Miss USA, our own DC native, Kara McCullough. And we've got a Nobel Prize winner and who knows who else. So talk to each other, get to know each other. You may be surprised who is sitting not too far from you. Last year, we were at the American Natural History Museum, seated, I thought precariously, underneath the belly of a giant whale. This year, we're quite literally in the belly of a different sort of sea creature. This is our first year aboard the historic Intrepid, which in World War II survived a torpedo hit and several dramatic air attacks. So we're relatively certain that it can sustain this weighty audience in Hangar 3. Inclement weather is no match for you or the Intrepid, and the Intrepid itself is something of a metaphor for the resilience and steadiness in choppy waters our times require. So Susan Marenhoff-Sausner, the president of the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. I don't know where you are, Susan, but thank you so much for being here. We're delighted to be in your magnificent place here. We're gathered here in New York on the opening evening of the United Nations General Assembly's 72nd session. It is against this backdrop that we at the Atlantic Council pause, or have paused every year for the last 8 years, to recognize individuals who devote their lives to causes larger than themselves. And by recognizing them, we hope to inspire others to similar leadership, and at the same time, underscore our enduring cause. At the Atlantic Council for nearly 60 years, we have pursued the mission of galvanizing constructive U.S. leadership alongside global friends and allies to secure the future. Our founders were literally there at the creation of the international liberal order that for the past 70 years has provided one of the most promising, prosperous, and secure periods of human history. We at the Atlantic Council feel, as they were there at the creation, that we may be there potentially at the salvation or at the reinvention. To quote the anthropologist Margaret Mead, quote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, concerned citizens can change the world. It's the only thing that ever has," end quote. And we believe that. The world order that the Atlantic Council's founders helped create is under attack. Liberal democracies face the challenges of nationalism and populism. New questions have arisen regarding America's role in the world, and a combustive mix of threats boil from North Korea to Russia's revanchist efforts in Ukraine, which President Trump mentioned in his defense of sovereignty today at the United Nations. The Atlantic Council, across our 11 programs and centers, embodies the ethos of common cause to shape the future. What we added to the Atlantic Council since we met last year underscores our purposeful, results-oriented approach where we adjust to the times. The launch of the Arsht Center for Resilience recognizes the world will not become less volatile. Rather, uncertainty is the one certainty. So we need to build in more resilience, whether it be within hurricane-struck cities or crisis-challenged global institutions. We also launched in the last year our Digital Forensic Research Lab, which has become a leading 24/7 force in countering disinformation, fake news, and hybrid threats. As we sit here aboard this now luxury vessel, convening one set of supporters for the Atlantic Council mission, 5 members of our digital forensic team are in a tent in a European forest that must remain unnamed, embedded in allied military exercises, helping with the new science of digital force protection. As you can see by looking around you tonight, we're a community of business and civil society leaders, cutting-edge experts and policymakers. We generate ideas, we foster debates, we build consensus, we mobilize durable coalitions, we transform ideas into action. What we don't do is we don't write papers that gather dust on shelves. Adrienne shared the news to you of Governor Huntsman's confirmation hearing this morning. It went extraordinarily well. We expect that he will be confirmed and not so far in the future. He sends all of you his warmest wishes. He did give me some message to say to you in Russian, but to be frank, I can't remember it. Massive thanks, and in his absence, I hope you'll join me in applause for Governor Huntsman and his remarkable public service and his service to the Council. Let me also express a particular thanks to the brilliant global business leader Victor Chu, an Atlantic Council International Advisory Board member whose vision and drive made these awards a reality. Please stand, Victor, wherever you are so we can salute you. A special thanks and welcome to the 2017 Global Citizen Awards presenting partner and Atlantic Council International Advisory Board member, Mehmet Nazif Gunal. Thank you for all you do for the Atlantic Council in Turkey, in Africa, now aboard the Intrepid. Thank you, Mehmet. For the first time tonight, all of our awardees will be introduced by previous awardees. That's an illustration of the growing strength of our community, bound together by shared values. We are honored to have these previous awardees in the audience tonight. Hold your applause until I've shared all of their names, and if they would please stand. Our inaugural Global Citizen Award recipient, the ultimate global citizen, World Economic Forum founder and executive chairman, Professor Klaus Schwab. The recipient of our 2011 Global Citizen Award, Christine Lagarde, has already been introduced to you. The recipient of the 2013 Global Citizen Award, Her Majesty Queen Rania, who has also been mentioned to you as well, and I think she's backstage at the moment. We are also pleased to welcome the son of the late Shimon Peres, former Prime Minister and President of Israel, recipient of the 2014 Global Citizen Award. Shemi Peres, where are you sitting? Could you please rise? We're also privileged to be joined by several current, former heads of state and government, our honorees, to be sure, the South Korean president and the Canadian prime minister. We also have the former prime minister of Australia, Kevin Rudd, the former president of Costa Rica, Jose Maria Figueras, the former president of Timor-Leste, His Excellency Xanana Gusmao, the Nobel Peace Prize recipient and former president of Timor-Leste, Jose Ramos Horta. All of you who I've mentioned who are in the audience, please stand and let's give you a round of applause. Thank you. Government ministers from around the world, and please stand and please hold your applause until I've mentioned them. Deputy Prime Minister of Korea, Kim Dong-yeon, Minister of State of the UAE, Dr. Sultan Ahmed Al-Jaber, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Korea, Kyung-hwa Kangs, Minister of Culture, Sports, and Tourism of Korea, Do Jung-won, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Canada, Chrystia Freeland, a very popular one of the ministers here, and like me, a recovering journalist. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Pavlo Klimkin, Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Georgia, Mikhail Yanalidze. Please, a round of applause for all of these ministers who've joined us tonight. And finally, I would be remiss if I did not salute my very dear friend and our New York board co-chair, Richard Edelman, and his wife, his new wife, Claudia Gonzalez-Romo, who just tied the knot this weekend. Richard, because Claudia told me it is Jewish tradition for wedding celebrations to last a full week, we added this little party of 570 of your closest friends on an aircraft carrier. So please join me in wishing global citizens, Richard and Claudia, profound happiness ahead. Please stand up, Richard and Claudia. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Thank you for support. Without your engagement and support, we quite literally could not do the crucial work we're doing right now. It just wouldn't be possible. Enjoy your evening. Let's set sail.